that's, you know, the point is to try to remember that this is a real child like you. You can see the year that they were born. The majority of children were clearly murdered by the year 1945. So if you take the years that you see on your card and you try to figure it out, you can see roughly the oldest they could have possibly been. Okay. They all came from a small town in Poland called Białystok, and Białystok basically had about the number of children that are in this middle school that went to the camps in Auschwitz. And they have a very unique story. Mrs. Deegan's relatives came from that town, and she's just going to tell you a little bit about it before we start the process of putting pennies into the tank.
So just to give a 2-second background, on September 1st, 1939, Poland was invaded by Germany. Excuse me. And that was the western part of Poland, and my family was on the eastern part of Poland. So they lived under Russian rule and lived pretty well, actually. We have postcards from them. They were being treated fairly, and the Russians were much nicer than the Germans were to the Jews. And then in June of 1941, the Germans invaded that section of Poland on the eastern side, and the Russians fled, and Germany took over immediately. In the beginning, what they did was they rounded up the Jews who lived near the synagogue. Synagogue is the Jewish house of worship, like a church, but for Jews. And they rounded up 2,000 people that lived near the synagogue and put them, I cried at the time, sorry. They put them in the building, and then they torched the building. And so that's how my great-grandparents died and my cousins. But also, after that happened, they rounded up the rest of the Jews. There was actually 50,000 Jews in Białystok by the beginning of the war. They rounded them up and they put them in a ghetto. And I don't know if everyone knows what a ghetto is, but it's a walled-in area. Okay, so you all know a ghetto. And in the Białystok ghetto, it lasted for about 2 years. And towards the end of the ghetto, there was an uprising. And they fought the Germans and for a few days, and they held out. Oops, sorry. And I have a cousin that was in the uprising, which I just found out about last year, which is pretty exciting to me. And not cousin, actually, it was my grandfather's sister. But they were all killed, and they took all the people that were living in the ghetto to Auschwitz. And
so I know where you live.
Faithful Kuna, 19